pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Is there any additions to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, board members, a couple of additions. Under the consent agenda, under Commissioners' warrants, you have two small add-on packets this morning. One from Road and Bridge for $24,072.13, and one for the Commissioners' warrants of $26,869.80. So I'd like that added to the consent agenda. And at 9:45 a.m., please pencil in Building and Grounds Supervisor Wayne Drew. We have quotes to act on for the Sheriff's Office South Parking Lot Reconstruction Project. And that'll be an action item at 9:45. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Hearing those additions, I'll move for approval.
Okay. Second by Chris, second by Les. Any discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda, we got the minutes, the auditor's warrants, commissioner warrants, hospital warrants, and the treasurer's report.
Move to approve.
Moved by Les.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sheriff Freeman.
Just going to introduce, Paul obviously is he got a new position. Tom Haig retired this month, and Paul has been around about 10 years, sergeant for what, 6 maybe?
3.5.
3.5, okay. Yeah. But a couple people, applied for, we had a good possible investigators, but Paul kind of stood out, and so it's not really a promotion because it's investigator position. Also, it's a very important position. Does child protection stuff along with vulnerable adult stuff, and then other investigations, burglary stuff like that. So, an important position. A lot of follow-up and stuff he'll be doing. So, right now he's trying to help out doing both sides of his job. Still doing sergeant, but investigating also as we get our new person trained. It's Chris Schultz. He's been part-time in the jail for about 6 months. We just hired him as deputy, so we're going through all the training stuff. It'll be a couple months before he's on his own on the road, but we're just starting a training process, so I'm glad he's here, and hopefully everything works out good. So I'd introduce you guys to him. So
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Good to have you.
Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
he's from, where are you from, by the city somewhere in
Stillwater.
Stillwater?
Okay.
A little lower speed down here. No, he's been doing a good job in the jail, and so he got his eligible post license and been looking for a law enforcement job, and one came open, and so hopefully he's around for a long time. So.
Yeah, hope so.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck in your new positions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Nick. Morning.
Good morning. All right, first up for me today would be some project updates. The only updates I have are on page 3. Be our 2021 box culvert contract number 3 and our 2021 overlays, and we are opening bids for those at 10:30 this morning. Next up, I have a request for board action to approve some right-of-way payments. The first one is for Mark and Carrie Hinneker. It's for $3,300. As you'll probably notice, that one's quite a bit larger than normal, but that's actually for three separate ones. So that's why that's larger. We're just lumping them all together in one payment here. And then the second one there for Lunstra Properties MN2 LLC. Originally, that was supposed to be $270, but we talked with them yesterday, and we're changing the scope of that one a little bit, so that one needs to be changed to $590. Otherwise, that's all I have for right now.
Just a question, is that spelled correctly, Lunstra? Is there not a D in it? Oh, that's right.
I think that's right.
Okay.
Okay.
Say, Nick, what were the changes that had to be made that changed the price on that
Fencing.
fencing? Okay.
Yep, we're gonna pay them for the fencing. Usually we'll do it either, we'll have the contractor do it and we don't pay the owner for it, or, you know, we pay the owner like a cost to cure or something, and then it's just, they take care of it. Or I think in this case, we are having the contractor take care of the removal, and the owner is responsible for any reinstallation, so.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what changed on this one. Excuse me.
I'd move for approval.
Second.
Second by Les. Any discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next up, I have a grant agreement with the resolution for that agreement. This is to approve the bond funds for our County State Aid Highway 8 project west of Holland. Some of the numbers, I suppose, changed in here because it's a different bond fund, but essentially the agreement's the same as the ones we've approved in years past. The total is $281,293.50.
You need a separate motion on either, or can they be together?
I think they could be together. The only thing about it is I need like an original copy signed with that raised stamp to send to the state, so.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing unique about this that I'm aware of, so.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Okay. Moved by Chris,
Support.
second by Dallas. Any discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item I have then would be some maintenance updates. In February, we did some snow blowing, snow piles up at intersections. We have a number of snow blowers that fit on the front of our payloaders, so we'll go out and blow that back, so you know, roads stay open in smaller events, and it's easier to plow. So we did some of that in February. We plowed snow 7 days. And update on that motor grader from last month. We still don't have it back yet. It's taking a little longer than we thought for rebuilding the transmission. Last I checked, it was still up in the cities at the headquarters or whatever you want to call it. So with the nicer weather, we're really would like to be out blading. So now we're kind of behind. We can rent one for $3,500 a week or something like that, but I think if we get to the point where we feel we absolutely have to be out blading, I'd probably rather just have somebody do it on overtime or something versus renting a machine for $3,500. So if we feel that we really have to do that, you might see somebody out on a Saturday or something like that, and that's the story. It's just a cheaper option than renting one, so,
Much cheaper.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, yeah, so, if you see that, you know, that's what's going on, so.
Okay.
But
You getting antsy?
he actually got the Pipestone blade last
okay.
week and to do a little bit of work done in his area, so.
Okay.
So we're kind of spreading them out now, but, you know, we're obviously getting behind on it, you know, we're short a machine, but, that's a lot of money to, you know, rent the one for the week, so I think overtime would be a better option, so. So that's all I have for maintenance updates. we have 2 bid openings this morning, but we can't do those till 10:30. That's when bids are due, so. And then I guess maybe Dallas, to give you an update, we wait till 10:30 because they can actually mail them in, and we're sure they're.
Have to be through the post office by then.
Yep. I don't recall getting any bids through the mail for a long time, but we have gotten a little bid through the mail in the past. It's probably over 5 years ago, but it has happened, so I feel we probably need to make sure we leave that option open, so. So, I'll probably stick around, for when Kathy does her report, in case you got some questions for me, but, otherwise I'll be, back at 10:30 for sure, so.
Okay. Any questions for Nick?
No, thank you, Nick.
Yep,
Thank you.
sounds good.
Thanks, Nick.
Let's see, should we go into personnel?
Sure. Just smell.
Good morning.
Morning.
So the first thing I have for the board this morning, and you guys did approve us starting the hiring process to replace a highway maintenance worker that is retiring, and I'm announcing today that Don Harstead is retiring on March 31st. So I do need approval of his retirement in good standing effective March 31st.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Second by Dan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Certainly extend our thanks to him for as many years. How long has he been here?
Before I was born.
I knew you were
Really?
going to ask me that.
Yeah, I think it's 1981.
Wow.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, almost 40 years. I think it would have been 40 later this year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that is quite a run.
What was the name again?
Don Harstead.
Don Harstead. Okay.
And with that, we did go through the interview process, and we had 2 candidates that were standouts in the hiring process. And just last week, another highway maintenance worker indicated that he will be retiring the first part of May. I don't have that in writing yet, but he is preparing to sell his house and move the way it looks. So we were going to request this morning if the board would approve hiring 2 candidates right now, knowing that we have a pending retirement in May, and we also know that we're going to have another retirement in August at this point. And then I'm also going to be requesting the salary placement for both of these individuals, and I can't release their names right now because they would need to complete the background check process, a physical, and a pre-employment drug test. So I have let the personnel committee know the 2 candidates, and I can kind of summarize their experience here just to give you an idea of the experience of the 2 candidates. The one is a former employee of ours. He already worked for the highway department for about 3.5 years from 2015 to 2019. So he's obviously very familiar with the job. He left in good standing, and they are comfortable hiring him back and would like to offer step F $22.85 per hour to recognize some of that experience. And then the other candidate has a degree in heavy equipment operation, and he's been working for a local construction contractor. I don't know if I want to say who, but since May of 2015. So he's very familiar with all of the equipment that the highway department uses and operates. So we feel like he's his experience counts for a lot as well. So we would be seeking approval to make these offers at $22.85 per hour to both candidates, and have them both start around April 1st.
So Chair, I move for approval.
Okay, moved by Chris.
I'll second that.
Take your pick.
If you got two outstanding candidates, that sounds like the thing to do.
Right.
You can get them hired and trained in, and
Yep, this isn't normally how we do it, hire
Yeah.
two, but it makes sense this time, so.
does the one that has previous experience here gain a step or anything in the, or did you consider that?
What was the question?
You mean hire them one step higher
Well,
than the other individual?
that's what I meant. He has previous
Okay.
experience here. Does that add up?
The other one has more experience in this line of work, in an education in this line of work. So Kathy and I talked and, we considered all that. We feel that step is
Fair for both of
fair
them?
for both of them, yes. Yep.
That's all I was concerned that it's fair, so.
Yep.
Yep.
It's nice to have multiple qualified candidates,
Yes, very nice.
Definitely.
and obviously ones you won't have to train much.
Correct, yeah, they should both hit the ground running with minimal,
Give them the
Right.
keys.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And that's nice going into the spring.
Yeah.
Have
Well,
that.
yeah, it's nice anytime.
Right.
And with losing two experienced workers, bringing in experienced workers too
Yes.
really helps.
So
Right.
it'll be nice.
Yeah, pretty seamless transition.
Yep.
And
All right, we do, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, hopefully I'll be able to announce their names and official start dates at the next board meeting in March, so,
Okay, that sounds good.
all right.
We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's it, unless you have anything for me.
Okay,
No?
thank you.
Thanks.
Kyle?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well,
Brought Lance Wheeler with me today for our feedlot report. So the two items I have for the agenda is our feedlot report and then a correction on a conditional use permit that was issued. So you should have all received a copy of the feedlot report. I'll just open it up for questions, I guess, if you guys have any. But this is an annual report that's submitted to the state based on the work accomplished in 2020. Kind of summarizes the number of inspections, the number of sites. And then we also have a work plan with the state that identifies our minimum program requirements as far as the number of inspections and procedures that will follow for each year. Kind of a standard.
Seems like with COVID and whatnot, numbers were still pretty steady.
Right, Lance, yeah, you can mention it, but I mean, nothing really changed in our office as far as field work or inspections. Producers still came in, did feedlot stuff, so
Sure.
I don't see that really. That was kind of our hope, is that we wouldn't have,
Yeah, get behind.
right, yep.
Right,
I'd move to approve.
okay. I'd second. Any discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then the next item I have is a conditional use permit that was granted back, I think it was in 2007. And we identified the entire southeast quarter where the actual wind tower was only located on the north half of the southeast quarter. So I got a call from the landowner of the south half of the southeast quarter questioning why he had a recording on his abstract or his land for a wind tower, and talked to Domain. He recommended that we file a correction, and he said we don't need to take board action because it's already been approved, but this is more or less just an acknowledgement for the board to know that Luke is signing a corrective recording. And then this will be recorded on both the south half and the north half of the southeast.
Okay.
The wind tower is out there functioning.
it's the only one in Elmer Township, right?
I believe it's the only wind tower, right?
And it really doesn't affect the south owner's property at all?
No, there is no impact. Everything in the file is only in reference to the north half.
Okay.
So it's more of just a formality of one typo.
But nice to correct it.
Yep.
Only the wind rights would be the only thing that affected the south guy.
Right,
Sure, they got that figured out somewhere along the line.
yeah. Okay, so we don't have to take action on that?
Nope, I just need the chair signature, so it's more of just an acknowledgement for the board.
Okay.
Any other questions? Otherwise, everything's going pretty well in our office, so.
Good. Well, thanks for all you're doing.
Okay.
It's
Yes, thanks, guys.
important work.
Yep, I'll grab a signature too. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you Thursday.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Lincoln Pipestone Rural Water Resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I did receive a request from Lincoln Pipestone Rural Water for Pipestone County to approve by Resolution 591421 for Peter D. Peterson to be appointed to the Lincoln County Pipestone Rural Water System Board of Commissioners. He will be replacing Mr. Glenn Grant, whose term is scheduled to expire on December 31st, 2022. I have before you a list of his qualifications. You read through those. And if you're in agreement with that, request a motion and a second to approve Resolution 591421.
Make a motion to approve. He had a very
Extensive
or-
qualifications.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Moved by Les,
Second.
second by
Second by
Al.
Dan.
It's just filling out a term, is that correct?
Right.
That's what I
Yes. And if history goes according to plan, when his term expires, they'll send us another resolution to reappoint. It'll probably be more than one at the next time of the go-around. I think they're usually like a 3 and a 2 or
Right.
type of thing, so usually get
He's confused
multiples.
the schedule
Yep.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion or questions? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Fill that out, send that back. Letter of support for the Casey Jones Trail Association.
I could present that if you'd like, Mr.
Sure,
Chair.
go right ahead.
First of all, I'd like to thank Steve for polishing up the letter report. We had a request in from Deb Nelson from the Jones Trail Association. As you know, both Chris and I serve on that board. As you can see, the letter's pretty straightforward. Talks about our support for trail and try and find more funding to continue with the paving of that as we to the east. You'll also see in the pack, there's a sample letter, I believe, from Murray County as well, too, so.
I just had a couple questions on the handout that's from the Friends of the Casey Jones Trail that has the pictures on and whatnot. On the back side, under why it matters, the third paragraph, the difference in visitors is misstated. It should be 16,500. And I was curious, under the supporters, why only Murray County was listed and not the other counties involved, since we do give them money regularly. And under our ask, the 2021 funding request, I was just curious if that was for something beyond the 2-mile extension to Woodstock, as far as the cost of the project.
When we make a request to the state, it's for the entire trail. As you know, land acquisition as we go east is the major challenge there. And so the request is for all of the trail, not just the trail in Pipestone County.
Okay, so it is for some land acquisition beyond Perfect,
Correct.
okay. Well, otherwise, I guess I just thought that maybe could suggest to them that they should include the other counties under their list of supporters and make that one correction on the visitor count. Any other questions or comments, or?
One of the comments I made too is Joe Schumacher actually messaged the Parks and Trails Committee too with support of this project too. So we do have local support from our legislatures too on this as well.
I do like the fact that you're trying to get the designation changed, because it would seem you'd be more likely to get funding if you could get that primary designation versus the secondary.
I know in a meeting a few months back too, the director of the Parks and Trails too also voiced support of this project too. 'Cause he was there, I think, one of the first voices to help support the trail, wasn't he, Dan? If I remember right.
That's correct. And as far as that designation between primary and secondary, that is something that the legislators did a number of years ago. And to be honest, we weren't even aware that our piece of the trail was classified as a secondary trail. So that's a little bit of a glitch. We just want to try to correct that. With ours being the first designated trail, it seemed a little incongruent that we would be considered a secondary, but we're working on getting that changed.
Yeah, I would agree. Has it always been that way, and we just didn't know, or?
It happened about 8 years ago, I understand. And yeah, we weren't even aware of it. We just found out through DOT that case.
I mean, they can do that and not tell you.
On a local note, did they ever get smooth over the townships about crossing their gravel roads?
I don't think that's really been addressed yet, has it?
I've heard nothing.
No,
Oh, Nick might have an update on that.
I actually don't have an update, but I
You
just
wanna come
looked
to
at
the
the list, at the rest of the agenda before I left, and I saw this was coming up, so I was curious if that was gonna be talked about too. All I wanted to point out was that if they are moving forward with anything with these crossings, I've heard that they wanna keep moving and do our roads. If anybody hears of any of that, you should let me know, because I don't think they should, no matter what they can and can't do, I definitely don't think they should do our County Road 25 crossing, because we have in a 5-year plan to redo that road.
Right.
So whatever they do would probably have to get tore up. So I just think it'd be a complete, total waste, to do anything there if we're just gonna tear it back up in a few years, so.
I'd make an argument it's a waste regardless.
Well, you could, but, but either way, definitely,
Right.
for now, they should hold off on that, just so we don't, duplicate work, waste money, so.
Right.
So that's all I wanted to throw out, but I haven't heard anything about,
I mean, didn't we, along with some townships and whatnot, pay an attorney to look into it or challenge
We've not
it?
paid anything. We haven't gotten anything back from the attorney. We haven't got anything back from
Okay,
the
but I
state.
mean, we agreed to.
We did agree to do that
Oh,
if
and,
that came up.
But apparently nothing's happened with that yet, or?
Nothing's happened.
Well, tar roads cross township roads all the time, I don't know why this is different, just because it's smaller, or lighter, or thinner, or Blader doesn't like it, or?
if I could maybe shed a little light on that, of course, it's nothing to do with the road as far as driving. It's a DNR requirement, because DNR has to comply with the ADA. So it's the ADA portion about it has to be a surface that can be navigated by people with disabilities. So that's why they require their roads, in their trail. Now, the difference being, in Pipestone counties, that railroad right-of-way was the original right-of-way, and now that is part, then that's now owned in by DNR. So DNR says that their right-of-way supersedes county, if I understand and recall this correctly. So it's going to depend on where they're at and who's got the technical right-of-way, whether they get paved or not get paved. So yes, it certainly is going to be an issue of contention as we go forward.
I know they get excited if you do something in their right of way without permission. The township did that to the state one time and we got severely reprimanded, so. But
Yeah, exactly.
we were approving things, but they didn't see it that way.
In this case, I don't even think they told the townships before they did it.
No, they did, and they kind of, then have somewhat tried to make amends and apologize for not notifying the townships. It's about all the concession that I believe we've gotten so far out of them.
Okay, I just was wondered what status it was.
Yeah, this came from the townships, not from the county. They haven't, I don't think they've done any of ours yet.
No.
That come to mind, but, you know, they did a number of the township ones without saying anything, and, the one guy I talked to, I get the feeling they would have done things differently had they known how it was gonna turn out, so, you know, for what that's worth, I don't know how hard the locals are gonna fight against it, but that's just how I interpreted it, so.
And DNR believes
Nick,
they
do you
have
happen to
absolute
know,
right to do this.
have you been out under? Go ahead.
Oh, Steve just said that the DNR feels they have the right to do this.
Yes. My question for Nick is, I haven't been out on the township roads where these crossings are at now with the thawing and so forth. What kind of shape are they in with the roads getting softer now? Have you seen yourself?
I honestly haven't looked at any of them.
Postings are on, so.
Right. Yep, so I don't know what shape the township ones are in.
Actually, pretty good, Dan. Their winter was not too hard on them. A nice rain now would firm them up a little. That would help.
Right, yeah. But I wonder where we got that paved section with the township road. There's got to be a bump there. That's got to be a mess, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked at any of them, to be honest, so.
But hopefully we'll get that rain tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
I'll move to approve the letter of support with Casey Jones Trail Association.
Okay,
I'll second that.
second by Dallas. Any other discussion?
Just like to echo that, you know, connecting our communities helps businesses and helps all of our communities thrive, so see the positive side in this. As long as we keep connecting our communities.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it looked like it did on this map.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's not only
Someday I
walkers
hope
and
it does.
joggers and stuff, bikers, it's snowmobile in the winter.
Snowmobilers, yes, absolutely.
Grand plan, though.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is Wayne handy?
I think so. I'll go grab him. No, it's not in his office right now.
Okay. Let's see, should we try to get committee reports out of the way?
Sure.
Dan, you want to start us off with committee reports?
Sure. Okay, start out the month of February then with our Prime West meeting was on the 4th.
Just video.
He had to use his iPad.
Really nothing really particular stood out of the Prime West. It was kind of our educational meeting. We went through and reviewed things. And then also we got that up for the meeting we just had this week. And I hope that all of you other commissioners were able to join in on that. They really did a great job laying out the history of Prime West, what they do, where our mission is, how we're expanding with the additional 11 counties, and how we're moving forward. Les, have you got anything else to add to Prime West?
No, not really. Just that it was well attended last Thursday.
Very much so. Okay, then on the 9th, we had our Smock Building Committee meeting. As you know, we've got the new Head Start building in Worthington, and it was built a year or two ago, and there was just a couple of items that need to be addressed. So, Building Committee got together and addressed those few items, and I think that's all taken care of. Then on the following day, then on the 10th, we also had another Smock meeting, and this was on our succession planning. As you'll see on the 15th of February with our Smock board, we did accept the letter of resignation from our manager, Bill Steffel. He is going to retire when he turns retirement age next year, so he was kind enough to give us a nice lead time. We've got 12 months then to start our succession planning and get things in order for that. As you know, that's quite a large agency, a lot of things involved, working with both federal and state governments. But we're certainly going to be looking for a viable, but it's going to take a while to find someone to replace Neil's position now. On the 11th, we had our Pipestone Area Coalition meeting with Ashley Gustafson. Again, with COVID, things certainly have been different. Some of the training sessions that they had slated for next summer have been postponed again or going to be maintained in a virtual setting. Also, Ashley works with the STARS group of students at the school. It's really probably a core group that she uses for the Area Coalition. And again, just to remind you, the Area Coalition is all about positive messaging. We want to encourage students to take healthy lifestyle choices and do it in a positive manner. You'll see some of the bulletins and billboards around town, out in the country as well too, I should say, both north and south of town, and they all talk about positive messaging of the image that they're trying to project. On the 12th, I have Southwest 18 Mental Health Consortium. As I'd stated before, through COVID, certainly strain on being able to provide mental health aid, as you guys know, especially Les and Chris, you on the Southwest Mental Health Board as well too. I'm sure you're seeing the same thing. It's been difficult, and also a larger demand all the time. Know that the added stress has been very evident as we move through this program, or through this pandemic, not program, it's pandemic, excuse me. On the 17th, Les and I had our Southwest Health and Human Services meeting up in Marshall. Again, nothing particular stood out in that meeting, pretty straightforward. We had a few replacements with some of the changes in the commissioners from some of the other counties. So, pretty straightforward meeting. Les, anything else on Health and Human Services that I'm missing?
I guess just the fleet agreement for the vehicles was talked about, and then the personnel policy.
That's right. Yeah, with our fleet vehicles, we haven't had as much usage on some of those. So I believe out of the 14 vehicles that were due to be turned back into enterprise, our finance people suggested that because of the low mileage that we keep 7 of them, so that we don't get them all bunched up later on and get into mileage charges before. But it made sense to keep 7 of them for this time around. Then on the 18th, we met discuss our small business financial help, both Les and Steve, and we also had the help of Tom and Erica from the Chamber and Tyler. As you saw, we took action on that last meeting as far as where the allocations went to. Also on the 18th, we had our AMC Trust Winter Conference meeting as well too via Zoom. And I believe a number of you were on that. Then on the 23rd, of course, we had our hospital governing board. And then I finished out the month and on the 25th with the Casey Jones Trail meeting. And again, I appreciate you guys' support and on that letter for Casey Jones Trail. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair, for February.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Dan? Okay, I guess we can bring Wayne up then, and we'll get back to these reports in a minute. Morning.
Okay, we got two bids for the law enforcement parking lot. So we're gonna do it half and half last year, half this year, but with the things that went on last year, we didn't get it done. So we're gonna do the whole thing this year. I got two bids on, one from Rusted Construction and another one from Martinez. Rusted Construction come in at $48,455, and he had 8,810 square feet. Martinez come in at 50,000 and he had 8,550 square feet. That's 6-inch slab, and then it's 2 foot on center for rebar. And they're gonna pour it half and half. They'll pour it half and then let it sit and then do the other half, so they still have access to come up in here.
Sure.
But I'd recommend Rusted.
Mr. Chair, move to approve to go with the low bid from Rusted.
Okay, moved by Chris.
I would second, but I got a question.
Second by Les.
Do you know what PSI cement this is? Is it 3,500 or 4,000?
I don't,
There's no fiber in it, right?
no fiber. Because they asked if they could put fiber in it instead of rebar, and I said no.
Good answer.
Yeah, we're gonna do it right when we do it.
Right.
You know, and then Rusted has the rest of the sidewalks and stuff to do, so he could pour half and then do that stuff and then come back and do the other half.
Worked out good.
Yeah.
Which sidewalks are they doing then?
The Bell, some on the north, and they're doing that drain right straight out here, get rid of that aluminum plate.
Oh, okay.
And they're doing from the east side of the courthouse straight out to the sidewalk by the
Nice.
street.
That's pretty rough over there.
It is.
Yeah, if you walk around and you can see the orange arrows,
Okay.
they're marked from what Steve and I walked around and thought we'd need to replace, so that's what the bid's on, whatever's
Okay,
marked.
good.
And for the board members too, we did have that in the plan for 20 to be done, but it didn't work out because of the roofing project, and we decided there was no point in putting down new concrete and having those big lifts driving around and busting up the concrete. And we were into Thanksgiving virtually by the time they finished that project, and winter was here, so it got pushed back to this year.
Right.
Yep. Then we figured too, they could crack out some more too,
Oh, exactly.
but they didn't.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Wayne, you mentioned there was a difference in the square footage.
Yes.
What do you feel the correct square footage is?
I don't know. I wasn't around when either one of them measured it, so. They must just measure it a little bit different, I guess. You
As
know,
long as it all gets replaced, what's the difference?
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was still cheaper, so.
Is it possible to maybe, I agree with going a little bit, but I also agree with Les's comment about knowing what the grade concrete, how many concretes are putting in there. I don't want to slow things up, but it would have sense to maybe clarify that in the contract. You didn't have a set of specs on this at all for him to bid off of?
No. Nope, they measured it and bid it. I just told them 6 inches and then 2 foot on center with rebar.
What do you think, Les? Are you comfortable with this? You want to get some more detail first?
Got a question for Nick. I was gonna ask first. Bring him back up again.
Welcome back, Nick.
Do you remember, Nick, what we put in the parking lot on the east side? Was that 4,000 or 3,500 PSI?
Offhand.
I don't remember right offhand, no.
I know we had it all spec'd out. I remember I was very comfortable with what we'd done, and would like to have both of them the same.
Sure.
Steve's gonna try to
Yeah,
find,
You guys all right moving?
You have the specs for that other one? I'll have you look quick here.
Steve's gonna look for the specs for the projects.
But just for discussion's sake, would it make that big a difference simply because we're not having the big garbage trucks and stuff that drive on it? It's just the law enforcement vehicles?
Shouldn't be any trucks driving on this.
Right, it's just law
But we
enforcement.
do have service trucks come in,
Okay.
Yeah, but they aren't big though.
but speed isn't a problem there,
Yeah,
except for the driveways.
yeah.
But we've done 20 feet, 25 feet at the base of that driveway.
Yep, and then the other driveway's done. And then he said too, that he don't know about the curb and gutter. Both of them said it. You know, when they start taking out, the bid will be so much for linear foot and curb and gutter too. We might have to do a little bit of that on top. We'll see
As
what.
far as
what
if it
looks
breaks out when you
Yeah,
remove the
yeah.
sidewalk.
Yeah, because it's got, the asphalt goes over top the curb and gutter. So when they're breaking that out, I don't know what's gonna happen. I think there's 2 layers of asphalt out there for sure.
That you just kind of penciled in, to figure out what it would be an estimate on? Remember that?
Oh, did we do that a couple of years ago? Okay.
I don't have any PSI right on my notes here.
Can we just specify then that we verify what the PSI, we can go ahead, excuse me, and award the contract now, but just with the understanding that what follows up on, make sure that it does match the other concrete.
Well, tell you what, we've got that bid opening at 10:30. I could find out in the meantime if we spec'd it, you know, and you could approve it after I get back to you.
Sure, that'd be fine.
That works better.
Yeah, that would work.
Okay. 'Cause I don't, we got the plans here, but not the special provisions, and that,
And I can call Tim too to see what he spec'd it out at too.
Yeah, that'd be good to know.
Time for that, yeah.
We'll just ask them what.
35, or,
PSI.
yeah, for 4,000. Okay. I can do that too.
And with the difference in the square footage on the estimate, we want to just verify that we get SP somewhere that Rusted's bid includes everything.
Well, Rusted's square footage was higher.
What's higher? It was 300 higher.
This was high.
300 higher.
Okay,
And the price was still cheaper.
And the price was still cheaper.
Should we table that motion until we get the
Yeah,
information back?
that's fine. I'll just hold off.
Thanks for your time.
It'll be
Wayne.
after 10:30 then, right?
Yeah.
I will call Rusted though, ask him. Perfect. Okay.
You want to take a short recess?
Sure.
Sure.
We're just going to take a short recess, Dan. We'll be back around 10.
very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. We can reconvene and we'll continue on with committee reports. Les?
Okay, on the first, we had an update from the hospital on vaccination update. On fourth, we had Prime West. Dan and I kind of talked about that. On the 6th, there's another update from the hospital. On the 9th was the commissioners meeting. 10th, Southwest Mental Health was canceled. There was not enough materials to hold a meeting. And then on the 11th, had soil and water meeting there. We had the audit review, and I come back with a clean audit. Employee review, and then went through some grant program limits and policies. On the 15th, had plan ops at the hospital. Everybody was updated on that at the hospital meeting later on in the month. On the 16th, we had union negotiations with the jailer dispatch, and that went very, very well. Got to meet their new union rep, and really a pleasant guy to deal with. And then on the 17th, it was Southwest Health and Human Services, and Dan highlighted on that pretty much. Then on the 18th, it was grant committee met again, and Dan talked about that. On the 23rd was commissioners meeting, hospital. 24th, we had the executive radio board, and what that is we kind of do a preliminary meeting of what's going to be on the next month's agenda. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Any questions for Les? Not? Chris?
On Monday the 1st, I had the Sporting Hands Nurse Family Partnership. The annual committee appointments were reappointed, which has been pretty common practice this year. They went into agreement with Morse Electronics to rent a server for them so they can have their data housed there and have a managed backup, which we're seeing a lot more these joint powers doing lately. Sibley County, after about a year and a half, finally agreed to join the JPA. So in the next month or so, we'll have to meet again to amend the JPA on that. Hopefully the attorneys don't hold it up for 6 months like they did last time. So actually, there's only one attorney out of all 27 counties that had an issue with it, but anyway. By April 1st, they're going to decide with their finance committee if the member counties will get a stipend or if we'll get an annual decrease, because ever since I've been on that board, they've been getting federal grants nonstop, and they were sitting well about, I think, $1.5 million in the bank. So that's to the point where you either got to start giving back or you got to do something with that. So another good news, Blue Plus Insurance increased their contribution per visit, which ranking it close to Prime West now, which was actually shocking because typically insurance companies don't give more money. So that was actually pleasant news there, because that's one of the major insurance players besides for Prime West for NFP. On the second ad, Towards Zero Death, the Lincoln Pipestone County Safe Roads Coalition, Lauren Mellentine right away announced that she has resigned her position with Health and Human Services and is vacating the director for that coalition. And at the time, they didn't have somebody who's going to start running that yet, so I'll find out soon, hopefully. Hopefully by next meeting I'll have who's reappointed to that position there. So I forget exactly what company she's working for, but she's going to be like some nursing director, for, I believe, for a retirement facility or something like that. So, totally out of Health and Human Services. Monday the 8th, as Les mentioned, we had the vaccine update from PCMC. Thursday 11th, attended the AMC legislative session, and my committee of the Transportation Infrastructure. I think I've mentioned that at our last meeting too, just talked about some of the issues that we're having. They talked about, there's an update on the broadband, as there's a big federal grant going around now, so a lot of the counties might be able to piggyback off the federal grant as well as the state money that we have towards that. So Mick from Lincoln was real quick to bring up and gloat about how Lincoln's totally has fiber everywhere and this and that, and talked about how they did that strategically with business and with a business and their tax money on that. So a lot of people were shocked to hear that there is a county completely has fiber everywhere, but
Rock does too.
Rock does too.
Yep.
so I don't know. I know here we have a pretty unique position where we have all this bedrock that we really can't do fiber, so without extensive costs.
Well, it's no different than the northwest corner of Rock County. This rock is all over there too. They done her.
I don't know, maybe that's something, now that there's federal money out there too, maybe we'll have to circle back on some of our committees and look at that again too. So
That is one of the items that is specifically mentioned in that NACO update on that broadband as part of that possible use of funding for the, the Rescue America Act that we'll be getting.
Could have used it last spring when the kids were all homeschooling.
Yeah.
There's so much of the county that is not served well.
Right.
And they really didn't have a whole lot more. We didn't adopt any new language or anything. On Monday, February 22nd, I had a CPT meeting. They changed their temp position to a part-time developer. Otherwise, there was no new hires or changes. They need more help in the development end, so that's why they just kind of altered that position. Meeker County is testing with them right now, and they're scheduled to go online March 22nd. And by the time they're going online, Candy, Ojai, and Lake of the Woods, they're scheduled to start testing with them too. So they're getting more and more contracts, which is always nice. The HR programs have 2 insurance issues left at the time of that meeting, and after 15 total tickets from the HR programs. Once they're finished with those, they're shifting back to the tax rewrite software, and they're shifting everybody to tax rewrite at that point. Tuesday, February 22nd, had the PCMC board meeting, and that concluded my meetings for February.
Is the tax rewrite started, or?
Yeah, they've started in their testing aspects of it, but they need a lot of help with that. With Adobe Flash going out, and HR programs really got hit hard with that, so they had to basically move all hands on deck to get that running. All those programs running. Like I said, 15 tickets. They got it whittled down to 2 left since the beginning of the year. So
Is that all funded, that rewrite?
Yeah, they,
I don't think so.
well, well, they do it. They do.
Okay.
They develop them.
So we don't have to pay extra or anything?
No, that's their own, they're developing all that, that's just taking a lot of time, and they've had to pull resources away from it. And initially, too, what got them behind is when they switched to being county-owned, a lot of people jumped ship because they're worried about their benefits and stuff like that, their stockpiles of PTO that they had, hundreds and hundreds of hours that they're planning on cashing out and stuff like that, which CPT did and the counties did, pay a lot of those people a lot of money. But now that's why there's no new hiring back, because now a lot of these people are starting to trickle back. They're like, pastures weren't greener wherever they went, so
Sure.
They weren't that green?
I guess not. So I think all but 2 people that have left have come back, so that's pretty impressive. So, and they've hired and replaced everybody that's left, so.
Hey, Dallas?
February 3rd, I took the safety training course, fishing, smishing, and all kinds of things to be aware of on the web. February 9th, regular board meeting. February 17th was County Government 101 through AMC. They've highlighted dignity, respect, and transparency. Relationships are important. Don't go looking for trouble, enough finds you. And it's not a job. You're an advocate for your constituents. So that's something for everybody to remember. February 18th, the next day was AMC, Public Policy, Public Safety. We had a lawyer talk for an hour about no bail. He says, taking money from people does not make anybody safer. But I disagreed with him, but it didn't help much. That was one of my first acquaintances with a statewide meeting. You know, it's a lot of different opinions out there, and way different from the southwest corner of the state.
Right.
And I guess I knew that, but it came face to face with it at that meeting. So, and he was speaking that New York and New Jersey have eliminated bail, and I really don't know if it helped them at all. I don't think it has, but that was one of his bullet points.
I know there's a lot of commissioners that are either current or former law enforcement too, so you can get some pretty heavy opinions on those topics.
And then the next guy that spoke for an hour was a corrections guy. He talked about serving sentences, and most served 2/3 and 1/3 on supervised released. 23rd was regular meeting. March 4 was Prime West that I sat in on, and there was 300 attendees at that meeting finally. It was amazing that many people. And 160 staff that they have and only 12 on site. That struck me. It's a nice big building. They got in their picture, 12 people are there.
That's true.
But they got $67.5 million in the bank. That's a good thing. You know, for a reserve.
But it can disappear in a hurry.
That's, I know, but still, that's, if they could only get a better interest rate on it or something. You know. It said 22% of Pipestone County is in Prime West. I didn't know that would be that big of a number. You did highlight that only 3% is lost to fraud, waste, and abuse. I thought that was a pretty low number. You know, when you talk about medical systems and all that, that there is so much talk about that. And dental providers make the most money. So, well, that was good to know. And March 2nd, spoke at the Edgerton Chamber of Commerce. They had lots of questions, and one of the biggest questions was about solar plant, solar garden that we're going to have by Health and Human Services. They wanted to know if that would be an option for them also. They purchased some land in their wellhead area, and so they got some land that's not going to be ever built on or anything. So, but the clerk talked to me yesterday again on the street just to see what company we used, and I told him to look back in the minutes. They should be in the minutes, right?
Seems like haven't had a problem with them, any solar companies finding us for help. So I think if they buy it, they'll come. You know.
He was worried about, that's where their main well is. They're hooked up to the water project, but they still have one well that they use. And he was worried about last year when he had no electricity, he got to keep water to the people. But I don't know if solar is your answer on that deal. If you got enough solar to run a huge pump or not. But, so.
Probably not at night.
Generator. We need a generator. They need a generator.
They do have one, but he was using that as a point to sell it to Peter. He was concerned on ROI, return on investment, you know. And he's just new to the city a year ago, so he's pursuing some grants like he did the LRIP and stuff, so he's justifying his position, actually. So that's good that he's working at it anyway.
Mhm. But obviously, the wellhead area is a good spot for solar panels, since you
Because it's.
can't do much else there if you want to keep your water source good.
There's a private one on, actually my cousin owns, it's on part of the wellhead area already, but that's right next to the power lines. So he didn't have any cost to get to the transmission line. That ends my report.
The other thing I just meant on Prime West, when we first got into it, we had like a $40,000 investment. And then now it's 60-some million.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good return on
And
investment.
160 staff, you know.
Right. And they normally are all in the building,
Yeah.
but due to COVID, they're only having.
Original counties each put in just under 50,000.
40,000,
40?
yeah.
And in a year, it was paid back.
Mhm.
And
And we
then
wanted to borrow more money, but didn't want it.
didn't need it. And there's more counties gonna join too, is that?
Yeah, they're trying to get 11 more to join.
But that has to be done through the state.
Well, actually, it's in statute now, if they would just follow the current statute, which we keep asking them to do.
And
Well, they should have actually been in
Right.
a year ago.
why doesn't Rock County wanna be in? Is that too close to Sioux Falls, Sanford, or?
It's got nothing to do with, I think it's got a lot to do with the administrator.
Okay.
Rock County is involved in a lot of JPAs. They kind of isolate them.
Cells that way?
I'm not sure why. I couldn't answer that.
It's not our county, not our problem.
Like they're not in the drug task force or some other things that you wonder.
Yeah.
CPT, I mean, you name it. You know.
They like to be alone.
They were just fine handling business themselves, I think, so. Without help from others.
They all have that option.
They do run a railroad, though.
Luke, on the financial part, I'd like to also point out, you mentioned the original $40,000 investment. I think it's good to also point out that through Prime West Community Reinvestment Back in the Communities, we just received $287,000 for the Caring Hands Dental Clinic that we built here in town as well. And as you're all aware, that's now been announced publicly that the land has been purchased and plans are to break ground on that this spring. So that project is moving forward.
That's good. That'll be nice to get. Okay, on 10th, had the MHA Trustee Council. We've reviewed the winter conference. We presume the summer conference will yet be virtual. And MHA President Karani projected that he felt that by December or January, 80% would have the vaccine. On the 11th, at the Soil and Water District, we reviewed the 2019 audit, did an employee review for Danielle, who's doing a great job. On the 12th, Highway 23 Coalition and Minnesota Transportation Alliance had a highway funding distribution update. And just to show how the dollars don't go very far, I was surprised when they mentioned MnDOT has 3,400 employees in their construction budget division. That seems like a lot of people to just be doing paperwork. They had 110 million available statewide for railroad separations. 62 million went to Moorhead, 45 million went to Anoka. That only left 3 for the rest of the state. For local bridges, they had 30 million for the state. 21 million was already encumbered, but Pipestone County luckily was on the board for 7 or 8 of those, which I think was as many as any county in the state. And so here again, got to congratulate our highway department staff for doing a great job getting those bridges on the list. But yet the Kellogg Bridge in St. Paul was 52 million for one project. And yet, there was only 30 million for the rest of the state to spread out. And then they talked about the use of CARES money for transit. In the first round of CARES money for the state, they used 54 million for Greater Minnesota Transit and 200 million for the metro area. So, a $250 million just in transit CARES money use. On the 15th, we had a plant ops committee at the hospital. On the 16th, the union negotiations with jailer dispatchers. That union rep was so professional and easy to deal with. It was very amazing. On the 17th, the Highway 23 Coalition met. We did order one sign from Action Manufacturing in Marshall, who they have a member on our board to view before we get some more made, but they do some pretty nice custom sign work, and hopefully we can get some of those up throughout the corridor and whatnot. And hopefully we'll soon hear something on that intersection study in Clara City, and the District 8 freight study. It should be on the MnDOT website. On the 18th, we had the virtual AMC Legislative Conference, and then I was involved with the Environmental and Natural Resource Policy Committee in the afternoon. We did pass that clean car position to take to the AMC board, which I did the following day on the 19th. But the AMC board did not take a position on it at this time, but said we could move it through the policy process later this year. On the 22nd, AMC board and the AMC Futures board met jointly with former state senator Roger Reinert, who presented on resiliency developed through his Navy military experience in Afghanistan. He's a pilot, a sailor, a law school grad, and now the director of the Duluth Arena, which in 2020, from COVID losses, they lost $5.6 million, and it cost $200,000 a month just to heat that facility. But of course, for a venue that holds 7,000 and you're limited to 250, you're virtually having no events to speak of. And on the 23rd, of course, the hospital board met. On the 25th, we had our Prime Health Board meeting. It termed out as chair because I think you can do it for 3 years or something. So I was elected treasurer. Gordy Wagner's our new chair. 2020 was a positive year for the pool with claims down. Amazingly, for all the 13 counties, only 5 COVID cases were hospitalized, and all were under 7 days. So, it's about as good as it gets for any bigger group of people. And then we still have that Renville County issue ongoing. We're trying to work through where they had withdrew early. On the 26th, Highway 23 Coalition and Minnesota Transportation Alliance had a Southwest Minnesota Transportation Summit with legislators. We discussed Highway 23 and 212 priorities and various other legislative issues with Senator Weber and Schumacher were both on, and it was nice to see that they participated. On Monday, March 1st, I just had a call from Magellan Pipeline staff discussing they apparently have to renew their right-of-way for that pipeline that goes by the monument. And I explained how good a luck we had trying to do our ditch work there. And they said, well, good luck. Hope it works out for you. Because I think it'll be kind of challenging. All they want to do is extend the use of their current line. They're not planning to do anything different. Right. But just knowing how a lot of those things tend to not be supported regardless of what they want to do, it could be kind of hard for them.
They will be on our March 23rd agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the gal from Magellan through our subsidiary is going to be on Zoom for us, wants to talk about it.
Okay. And on the second, we had the mediation with the courthouse union group, and I guess at the end of it, we have a tentative agreement, which I think that'll be coming before the board on the 23rd also. On the 3rd, participated in the AMC Coffee. We discussed clean car issues, legislative conference, the stay in your lane policy, and other things. And then in the afternoon, Les and I and Steve met with Corey Becker from Representative Fishbach staff and discussed various capital project needs, including Highway 23 from Pipestone to Russell and the potential NRCS FSA building, to co-locate with environmental office. On the 4th, Area 2 and RCRCA met. We're seeking $140,000 a year for each of the next 2-year biennium for the Area 2 administrative funds, which is pretty typical. That usually goes through pretty easy. They're also trying to get an additional $1 million in bonding for Area 2 projects. Last year, they got lumped in with some DNR funding group, and of course, DNR sucked it all up, and there was nothing left, so. They did have their work plan approved for the clean water funds they received for the Plum Creek grant for $400,000. And then we did get the bids for the dredging project. The low bid was from a J.F. Brennan company. They're currently working in Albert Lee. But I was surprised that the low bid was almost identical to what it was back in 2008. But in 2008, of course, they had appropriated less money, so they had to cancel the project because they didn't have enough money to do it. And but they're still waiting. They haven't awarded yet because they're still trying to get some DNR permits. And of course, this funding came through DNR to do the project. And yet they're saying that the dredge spoils are waste, needing to meet effluent standards similar to wastewater from cities rather than receiving stream water quality standards. I think this is kind of ridiculous since it's coming from an existing stream. Why would you consider it wastewater instead of a stream standard when it's coming from a stream? I don't understand that. But and then, of course, in the afternoon, we had that Prime West Education, which was very thorough presentation of their operations and history. On Friday the 5th, we had a hospital vaccine and staffing update that was pretty lengthy. And then we had a special Minnesota Rural County meeting in the afternoon with presentations by Clean Up the River Environment, or the CURE group, and somebody from the Fresh Energy group out of St. Paul. So just to, we had already had a presentation from the Minnesota auto dealers who were opposed to the clean car standards. So these were two groups that were in favor of it, just so that we can, be listening to all sides. And then we had a plant ops committee meeting yesterday, and that's all I have. Have we heard back on the concrete?
Yep, it's 4,000.
Okay, so we did have a motion and a second, I believe.
Actually, we spec'd out 4,500 PSI on the parking lot.
Okay,
So
do you want, is that adequate, or?
that didn't have rebar, this does.
It's a trade-off there.
Yeah, it's probably,
About the same then.
it's probably pretty close to the same, yeah. Yeah.
Wayne checked, and this is 4,000 for this parking lot.
Okay,
So that's what I know. I guess that's what we spec'd last time, so.
okay.
But,
I feel that's a trade-off.
yeah.
Okay, so then we did have a motion and a second, I believe, on that.
It's Chris motion, Les second.
Okay, so this is to approve the quote for the sheriff's parking lot, concrete, apparently it's 4,000 PSI, and is there any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll go to Nick with the bid opening on the overlay and bridge projects. Okay.
The ball chairman. Steve, was Domain planning on coming, do you know?
Got an email from him. He will not be here. He has juvenile hearings spaced out all morning. He just wants Nick to drop off the packets and he'll review the bonds before noon.
Before noon? Okay.
So then we'll still have time to award today,
If you want to stay in session till noon,
or you,
we can recess and come back.
right, maybe it doesn't matter, or,
We'll talk with Nick, see what he wants to do about it. Nick Domain said he's got juvenile hearings all morning, so he's not gonna be able to be here. He said that if you have Nick drop the packets,
Yep.
and I'll review them before noon. Did he send you that too?
Well, if he did, I didn't see it come in. What we've done before, or at least he said we could do it before, is we could open and award condition, or contingent on
everything checks
his
out.
We've done that before.
Yep.
his approval, so that's just to keep, in an effort to keep things moving, that's what I'd say to do. So
Okay.
then I'll just report back at the next meeting if he
Sounds
said
good.
we're good to go or not, so.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's 10:30. Jared is checking with the auditor's office, so he'll be down shortly. So I don't really want to start until then, but I can give you a little background on what we got going on here in the meantime. So. Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Which one do you want to start with?
Start with the box culverts.
Okay.
And then, so yes, 10:30, are there any more bids? So this first project we're gonna open up, it's our third box culvert contract for the year. It's 4 projects actually on our County Road 56, spanning from the south edge of town down to our County Road 2. We want to get these done this year because that road's in need of an overlay. We're going to overlay that next year, so should give it a winter to settle out. So hopefully we have a nice smooth ride when we're done then. So.
Yep.
I was like that road.
Okay.
It's narrow.
Check with him quick. He was gonna check the mail room. Sure. Nothing? All right, we'll get started here. First bid is of Midwest Contracting out of Marshall. All right. Their bid, $426,024.70. $426,024.70. Second bid, A&C Excavating out of Marshall.
Mint Drive.
Okay, the bid from A and C, $380,716.12. $380,716.12. Third bid, RNG Construction, out of Marshall. Their bid, $407,625.10. $407,625.10. And the last bid is from Henning Construction out of Adrian. All right, the bid from Henning. $418,560.12. $418,560.12. Engineer's estimate for this project, $487,399. I should probably add, we're one of the first of the year. I think that probably helps with prices. We had so they got a decent window to work on this, and when we do our estimates, they all get estimated individually. And we were able to group all these together, so that'll help with some of the hauling costs. So, it's well under our estimate. I should throw that out there. I think if we did it over as a group, our estimate would have been lower. So, but either way, these are fantastic prices. So we're running back to check bids right now. But in the meantime, we could open the overlays. So. Okay. So the overlay project here, we have the segments included are County Road 15 from the Rock County line up to County Road 2, County Road 9 through Edgerton. That's kind of the main, not main street, but like our main drag there. County Road 16 from Hatfield up to Highway 30. County Road 3 from our County Road 18 over to Murray County. County Road 7 from our County Road 18 to Murray County. And County Road 16 from our County Road 10 up to Lincoln County. So the first bid is from Central Specialties out of Alexandria. The bid from Central Specialties, $1,687,201.71. $1,687,201.71. The second and final bid is from Dunick Incorporated out of Princeburg. All right. Bid from Dunick's. $1,478,920.29. $1,478,920.29. Engineer's estimate for that project was $1,770,241.81. $1,770,241.81. And I should add that that one was very tough to estimate because we didn't have any other bid prices for the year to go off of. So we're kind of, there's really one big ticket item, which would be the bituminous, and it depends on fuel prices. So it was tough to put a finger on where that was going to end up with, no other openings for the year. So, but all in all, I'm really happy with the prices of this one and the box culvert. So,
Do you know how many miles are being overlaid?
16,
15, 16, yep. Right in there.
Okay.
Which is a good sized project for us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're running bids back right now to check. I'll have,
They are scattered all over the county though, aren't they?
yeah, we like to get them grouped together better, but when the road's in that bad a shape, there's not much we can do anymore. Most of them are grouped pretty decent, but then you got those two north of Highway 30, so. So yeah, we're running back to check bids now. So if it works for you, I think I'd probably prefer we recess and wait till I hear back and then award contingent on Domain's approval, and then we can get contracts going so they can get started, so.
So you'll be back, been today yet?
Yeah, I'll wait here till I hear back.
Okay, sounds good. I guess we can move on to the letter to Minnesota Pollution Control for public comments or whatever. I apologize to the board members for the various variations of this I had to send out as we kept making some minor changes, but hopefully you all have the updated version that went out yesterday. Basically, this is on the Clean Car Initiative. MPCA is doing through rulemaking. Their public comment period will end at 4:30 next Monday, the 15th. And these are some draft comments that I was proposing to potentially include to them regarding that initiative. And I guess I'd open it up for discussion if anyone has any comments or questions.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Dan.
Yeah.
I understand that AMC has decided to take no position on this rulemaking.
At this time, that is correct.
As I stated when we discussed this last meeting, I don't like the concept that MPCA is just changing rules by themselves. I agree with that, they end up to that. Although I'm very concerned about us making a particular stand against clean cars, electric vehicles. And reading through this letter, it seems to me this letter is more in opposition to electric vehicles than it is to MPCA making the rule.
I think
The letter, I think, quite wordy. One of my other concerns is, and I'm sure that's also part of AMC's decision on this, to not take a position. It's more wide-ranging. In your letter, you talk a great deal about disposal of the batteries, the economics of it, also the utility part of it. Well, remember, we also are part of the Minnesota Energy Board as well, too, which promotes load growth and also load diversity. So this is a very complex issue, and I'm not saying that you don't have some very valid points, but I just don't feel that it is Pipestone County's prerogative to have an opinion on the validity of electric cars or not electric cars at this point. We need more information. So I would prefer that we follow AMC's lead on this and also sit back and take no position until we get more information. Again, I agree with the fact that MPCA should not have the authority to just unilaterally make this decision on their own. That I agree with.
Mm-hmm. And just for clarification, I guess I personally do not have a problem with electric vehicles. And I know, I read through the 31 pages of public comments that they had received so far on their MPCA website. And I would say the vast majority of public comments have to do with people saying that they think that this is going to make the vehicle availability greater in our state. And that's what they're mostly concerned with, is, they're not able to buy the model that they want to acquire because they're not available at dealerships. And, to me, if that's the primary issue for people, there should be a way to incentivize dealers to bring those vehicles to our state without having to adopt these standards necessarily. Because I agree with you, Dan, that I don't think the rulemaking process is necessarily the way they should be doing business for something this substantial. But yeah, just obviously a lot of the comments were more addressed to concerns that rural residents would have as far as the additional costs and time constraints as far as charging, considering a lot of the vehicles have pretty limited mileage ranges. And, well, frankly, just the cost of the infrastructure required. We know now we don't have enough transmission capacity to, like for some of our wind generation and whatnot, we could have twice as much as we currently have if we just had additional transmission capacity. And yet, if we're lacking in capacity for that, how are you going to then add on, if you're going to have an increased number of electric vehicle fleets or, usage, and the charging stations required to make that practical would cost a lot of money, and I question who's going to have to pay for all that. And frankly, I don't find my electric bill to be that inexpensive now. I can only imagine what it'll be if we're all charging our vehicles on top of that, but I guess those are some of my thoughts.
As far as charging, Luke, though, it's off-peak charging, so the off-peak actually helps build a load that's non-peak load. So that's the type of load that the rural Minnesota Energy Board is trying to promote, is off-peak load.
Right, which I understand that, and that'd be fine if you're just using it for short distance traveling. But knowing that we, a lot of our people have to drive quite a ways during the day, guessing that for a lot of people that would require them to charge their vehicle during the day in order to get back home. and then it wouldn't be at the cheaper time. But yeah, for those just making short trips, obviously, yeah, they would be charging at night, and then it would be a cheaper amount.
You said that you do support the concept of electric vehicles, but reading through this letter, that's certainly not the impression that I get. This letter to me seems very, very negative towards electric vehicles.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to point out, like I said, concerns that rural residents are going to have because that's where we live, and I mean, these are, I guess what I see as some of the issues that we would have if it were going to be mandated around the state. And while this, go ahead.
Go ahead. I guess I'd like greater in-depth discussions with AMC as far as why, check with Rick Anderson, he's on the AMC board, see if he's got anything he can contribute to this discussion as far as AMC's position on this, their decision not to take a position on this.
Well, I guess I can answer that.
For cross purposes here between AMC and Minnesota rural counties, they're taking opposite stances on this.
I guess I can answer it because I too am on the AMC board. And of course, AMC tends to take positions that a vast majority or all counties can agree on. And for this particular issue, of course, the metro counties are mostly on board with this. Most of the rural counties are not in favor of this. So AMC really doesn't want to take a position. And this was stated at the AMC board meeting. They don't want to take a position because of that conflict between the rural and metro counties. Now, in contrast, the Minnesota rural counties has a long history of taking a position on issues that, primarily affect rural counties. So they're, as Dan would say, more willing to go out on a limb than AMC will. And in some cases, because of that, sometimes they can get the rest of the state to come around and agree with their position. And it doesn't always work out that way, but ultimately they have to look out for rural county interests, and that's what they're trying to do. And I know that the rural county group is going to meet next Monday morning, and this will be on their agenda as well. And if adopted, it would be able to be got into the public comments prior to the deadline at 4:30 next Monday. In the same way, I sent this out to the Southwest Regional Development, or not the Regional Development, but the Solid Waste Commission counties also, to see if they wanted to take a position at all because of the issue with, battery disposal and whatnot, which to me seems like a fairly significant issue, but I guess I'll leave it for them to decide what, if they feel it's significant enough to take any action on. But I certainly would like to hear from other members here and see.
I'd like to actually agree with Dan. I do feel like this, the way this is written, it does feel like an attack against electric vehicles on so many aspects, really, on both sides of it. And I mean, we've been dealing with hybrids and stuff now for well over a decade, electric vehicles in general for decades. I don't know why we need to start attacking it all of a sudden. I don't think all the vehicles in Pipestone County are going to be electric in 10 years. Even if 10%, I think would be even a generous number to give it. I don't really see why we really need to take such a big stance on this. I agree with Dan about the MPCA's rule stancing on that too, but this really feels like an attack on electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the batteries and the waste and stuff like that. That's been dealing with that with hybrids now for, a long time. It's nothing new there.
And technology has improved to a certain extent.
But yeah, I mean, if, I don't know, is there any part of this that you'd want to submit as comment?
Is there any part that you find non-factual?
Right, yeah, certainly if there is, let me know.
I agree with the concept of electric cars too, but I don't want it forced down my throat.
Right.
And that's what this resolution is supposed to do. I'll go out of state and buy a car if it can't buy one in Minnesota.
Well, the problem is, though, according to this rule, you wouldn't be able to register it in Minnesota if you did that, if it didn't meet the standard.
Registered in
Post
South
office
Dakota.
box in South Dakota.
People do that too. It's not legal, but they do it.
Right, but I mean, that's another problem with the rule, in my mind, is
Right.
they're basically telling you that, you know, you have to do it a certain way, and it's California's way.
And I disagree with that too. I don't think we need to hold California standards. We're Minnesota. It's totally separate, you know, their
Right.
gas prices are twice as high.
Exactly.
There's a lot of different factors with that. I agree, but I think it needs to be more catered to Minnesota. And I don't know. I just feel like this whole letter is an attack on electric vehicles, and like it or not, that's the way things are moving towards. I don't like it, but that's the way it's going.
Right,
Really, it boils down to the basics. It's trying to push it down your throat.
right.
That aspect I'd like to guard ourselves from, but I just don't want to sit there and attack the industry.
To me, it has to go through legislation the right way.
Mm-hmm. So are there any parts of this that you would be interested in submitting as public comment?
Well, parts about MPCA's overreach, yeah. I mean, parts like that, but when it gets into like the, you know, safety and disposal concerns and stuff like that, I understand wanting an inquiry on that and seeing what the impact would be, but again, we've been dealing with these types of batteries for decades.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's anything new. Why all of a sudden we need to take a hard stance against that and some of these others, you know? And I understand the part here about the cold weather, this and that. Well, that's something an individual would want to take on their own. If you're willing to buy an electric vehicle, well, then you're going to have to deal with not being able to use it when it's under 40 degrees and et cetera. And I really don't think that's going to affect a lot of people here. If they were already interested in electric vehicles, they would already have them right now. I really don't see why we have to take such a hard stance on this.
Electric or hybrid.
Again, hybrids have been around since late 90s.
Well, like on the battery concern, I mean.
And those are the same thing. That's the issue with those when hybrids came out back in the late 90s, what are we going to do with these batteries, you know, and we have to replace them every 5 years. That's a topic we've been dealing with, not us here, but.
Right, but like saying in our hazardous waste, I mean, if you have these lithium batteries just sitting around, I mean, there is a risk of fire or explosion with them. Okay, now all of a sudden you're gonna have a battery that weighs half a ton out of a vehicle, which is a lot bigger than a cell phone battery. Hey, how do you deal with that?
Well, now we're trying to overreach and telling the people what they can or cannot drive, and I'm not comfortable doing
Well,
that.
I mean, I don't care what they drive.
Well, I don't either, then why do we have to take such a hard stance on it?
I'm just questioning how do we get rid of the, batteries once they aren't being used anymore?
Well, they've been doing since the 90s, you know, I mean.
It's
It's
a little
hybrids.
easier to do with one you can carry than one you need a forklift to move.
Well, when I worked at Mankato Ford in early 2000s, the batteries for the hybrids were easily triple the size of Dallas's briefcase there. They took basically half the vehicle. Huge, and now they've shrunk, now to all electric, you know, half that size now. So, I mean, even in 20 years, a hybrid model, which isn't even used to completely charge a vehicle, that size has already decreased, you know, 50% or more. And they've been dealing with the battery issue since then as well. That's nothing new. I don't know why we have to take such a hard stance on it. I don't feel like we need to tell the people what's right and wrong when it comes to vehicles. They can make that decision on their own, do their own research.
Right.
Mr. Chair, if I may add to the battery discussion, there are also very, very large batteries being utilized in storage of power generated as well too. Those are huge, huge batteries. So don't think that this lithium battery is only going to be in electric vehicles. It's going to be widespread.
Right. So that'll be probably an ongoing county expense then, wouldn't it? If we're tasked with handling that waste?
It's a separate issue.
The county's needing to fund solid waste disposal?
No, the lithium battery issue is a complete separate issue.
I mean, wouldn't that go through hazardous waste?
Depends on how the ordinance is written.
I mean, it does now, doesn't it?
What happens now with the vehicles when, that's not spelled out in here, what happens to batteries now? Like,
I
with
don't
these
know.
people that have it?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know, I'm just as skeptical as lithium ion as anyone. I've had a few devices that blew up on me for no reason. That was the lithium ion swell and blew the whole tablet apart. I understand those concerns, I really do, but again, this is stuff that's already been dealing with. What are these dealerships doing with these vehicles then? When they take them in and have a bad battery, I don't know. That's a good question. Who's
Yeah.
paying for it then? Or the county's then? I don't think so. So I don't know how we can tie ourselves into this.
I'm not sure.
I think this, the public comment part and all that stuff, I agree with that. I don't agree with a lot of this, though.
Okay, so then I guess I'm asking, what, do you want to make any public comment, and if so, what?
Well, like I said, I'm willing to stand with part on MPCA's overreach. Getting into all those other issues, I don't know if that's a Pipestone County problem.
Right.
I don't know of anybody within probably a few counties that even drives a Tesla S. And if he is, he's probably got a nice 80-degree weather garage to keep it in if he's can afford a Tesla S.
Okay, going back to the, just the proposed position from MRC that we passed at our last meeting in February, where MRC supports legislative review of any and all issues of consequence that would bring harm to the culture and/or economy of rural counties. And further, MRC opposes the attempt by the MPCA to adopt the Minnesota Clean Car Rule without consulting the legislature, and encourages the Walz administration to withdraw the proposed rule and submit the issue to legislative review.
And I agreed to that last time we met.
Okay,
I agree with that 100%.
would you want to submit that as a
That
public
is fine with
comment?
me. These other comments, I'm not comfortable with, myself personally. If the rest of you guys want to vote on that in favor of it, go ahead, that's fine, but I'm not.
That's fine, but I'm just, I mean, is this
The list
proposed?
that we got on the back page of all the counties, this is strictly MRC counties?
It is, yep. And there were some that aren't listed because they would be meeting today.
Well, as the list shows here now, there's only about a third of the counties that have approved it.
Right, that's because a number of them hadn't met yet to address it, or they had met, but they haven't taken action yet, but they would possibly be doing so today. That's the problem when you're on a tight time frame and you only meet every so often.
Mr. Chairman and board members, I'm reading through this. As I look at paragraphs 1, 2, 3, and 4, down to jurisdiction, those seem to me to be taking on the idea of the greater opposition to the rulemaking process. Getting below that, you seem to getting more into the context of
Other issues.
specific issues and thoughts, feelings, that type of thing about technology, the content, but looking through those seem to, would be clear enough that you could, I would think, submit those to the administrative law judge's comment from the county, and that's,
So you're saying, yeah, everything down to,
Jurisdiction.
through jurisdiction.
jurisdiction seems, unless there's another one that goes back to,
Live with that.
Me too.
What do you think about that, Dan?
I still feel that we should follow the AMC lead on this and not deviate from that. So I would much rather take a wait and see attitude to this and see what AMC develops as we go forward.
You'd rather not make any public comment?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I guess I would make a motion that we submit for public comment, just the portion down through the jurisdiction paragraph to the MPCA on our behalf. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Dallas. Any further discussion? Comments?
I would be on board with that. I think, that's, like I said all along, I can agree with that portion of these comments.
We have to make our opinions known somehow, so we can do that in the first 4 paragraphs. That's
Okay,
Can we see it rewritten before we submit it? I'd like to see it come back to us in a finished form before we vote on it.
that's fine. You want to?
Dan, do you have a copy of it in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so basically, if you take a look at the letter that was on our letterhead, dated March 9th to the Honorable Jessica Palmer Denig, I don't know if I butchered the last name or not, I apologize to her if I said it wrong.
Yes.
I would take from the very top of the page that you have, that I emailed out, that's a PDF. It would
Yes.
start out with "these comments are written," and then it would encompass, the next paragraph says the clean car MN CCM. It would then, the next paragraph is the rule is sweeping in scope. And then there's a bolded heading, it says self-governance. And then
Before you
there's
go
a,
down from there, though, that third paragraph, the rule is sweeping in scope, but that also goes on to talk about reliability, battery disposal, public cost, private cost of vehicles concerns, slave labor in foreign countries. That's getting a little far-reaching, in my opinion.
no,
I'd like to see that well.
I don't think you're looking at the same paragraph I am.
Yeah, he is.
he is.
Slave labor's in the third paragraph?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right at the end.
Okay, so if we took out that paragraph and just had the clean car MN portion, and then the self-governance and the jurisdiction?
Drop the third paragraph completely, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Oh, I see.
There it is.
Yeah, okay.
Even the first part of it, if,
That's what, I guess I'd like to see it in a clean form before we vote on it. Instead of picking through it and editing it now, it's hard to edit, to vote on something that we're gonna edit. I'd like to see a clean copy before we vote on it.
That's okay. I think we can do that here pretty quickly. Can't we? Or can you?
As far as.
Because in the self-governed,
Well, yeah,
We get into
because you
part-
got this on a
No, I don't.
Word thing, or no?
No, you did, you only gave me a PDF. I don't have
Okay.
the Word document. I would request that. I don't want to start typing up the whole thing from a PDF.
Well, it's just those 3 small,
you get down into the fourth paragraph, self-governance. I don't like bringing California to us at all. We're autonomous. We don't need to talk about California. We need to talk about the fact that Minnesota Pollution Control Agency needs to be accountable to the voters and not making rules unilaterally. That position I agree with, but the rest of it gets really muddy.
well, that is what they're planning to adopt those, the California standard.
That's the way they bring it up, too.
But as they have to, because there's only 2 standards. There's the federal standard and there's the California standard. And they're proposing to take on the California standard. And it is true that on the next variation, that Governor Newsom has proposed a total ban on gas-powered vehicles by 2035.
If you wanted to change the paragraph, this rule is sweeping in motion, or in scope, I would say we stop it on the third sentence where the last part of it says private cost per vehicle concerns, period, and drop the humanitarian and foreign countries part, and just scrap that out of there. that takes out
Yeah,
the
yeah.
slave labor, just stop it at
Yeah,
battery disposal cost, public and private cost per vehicle concerns,
period.
period.
Right.
Okay.
Ready to do it?
Well, I don't know.
You're better than we thought, Kathy.
She types a lot faster than I do. Did you email one to Dan?
I'm going to. Right.
Okay. Dan, Kathy's gonna email you a clean copy of this.
Yep, I got that, that's fine.
Hey, this is taking out that whole paragraph instead of,
Oh, I missed that discussion. I thought you were taking it out.
you want to add
I
back?
received it, Kathy. That looks much better to me. A lot cleaner, more direct.
You like this version?
Give me a second, I think so. Just allow me to think out loud, if you would, for a second. The comparing Northwoods and Midwest mentality, let me think about that for a second. I don't want to cause derision between separating us from the rest of the state. I don't know what this sentence really means or not.
I suppose we
What
could
do you
just
guys
have
think of that?
I suppose we could just have Minnesotans have a long history of successful self-governance.
I like that better.
Okay. Do you want to add back in the part about the rule of sweeping and scope, imposing changes, blah, 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 down to vehicle concerns?
No, I don't
You'd
want to
rather not
do
have
that
all that
lengthy, jurisdiction. I'm even debating the part here where we refer to Governor Newsom. So we're assuming everybody's going to know who we're talking about when we say Governor Newsom. Do we even need to bring in California or not? We've already talked about California's clean energy standard further up in the body of the list. What do you think? Do you want to leave Newton in there or not? I don't really know either way. That's not a big deal.
Because I'm comfortable with leaving it in there because it just adds emphasis that that the rules can't be changed or amended the way he has it,
Yeah.
So,
You should drop the E though, Newsom's misspelled.
oh yeah.
And you could actually change only to one. In fact, just say, begin that sentence with one certainty.
Yeah.
And I guess if you'd like to drive home the point that we don't feel it's up to Minnesota Pollution Control Agency to make these decisions, that this needs to be legislative action, do we want to spell that out again clearly?
Yeah, I think we did under jurisdiction.
Oh, yes, yeah, it's already there, exactly, okay. Yeah, this looks better to me.
So we drop have a Northwoods Midwest mentality, and then second sentence start out,
One.
one certainty about California rules, and Governor Newsom's name is spelled wrong.
No E, no second E. And then, begin this sentence with
Better Google him, huh?
There you go.
He's in the news, I shouldn't be.
Yeah.